Hello traders and welcome to the weekly outlook and setups volume 57. It's Ilya here, and as always I'm super excited to see you on my channel. As you know, in this video we're gonna have a look at the markets, how it developed, what opportunities did we have this week, and what can we expect for the upcoming one. So as you know, I'm always super honest with you. I had a losing week this one. I just had one trade on GBP USD with a 1% loss, and I was a little bit unlucky on Thursday because I had quite a lot of opportunities. The ones that I looked to trade, there were two pairs. I was looking at 5 or 6 or something like this. I set orders for 2 of them, and actually they didn't trigger me in, but the others flushed and hit massive take profits. So it is what it is, but I'm actually very motivated when I have a losing week, because you prepare on the weekend, you backtest, you review your trades, you see what you did wrong. But not all of the times, guys, if you had a losing week but you followed your plan, you executed your plan, then it's just a losing week, because if you didn't go FOMO or something like this, then it's totally fine. We all have losses. Those are our expenses for doing business, and what matters is that you think for the long term, right? So as always, as I said, we're gonna have a look at the markets. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell in order not to miss the educational content that is upcoming. And if you already did, let's see what do we have for this week. As you know, guys, we always start from the DXY to have a look at the dollar and how it developed and what could potentially happen for the next week. Because when you start your day with having a look at the dollar, like just looking at the DXY, you can say what Euro USD, what USD CAD, what USD Swiss franc will do, right? It's just an index right here that tells you a lot. And basically the DXY and Euro USD are 90% even more oppositely correlated. So whatever happens here, the opposite will happen to EU. I have some people in the group that are just trading DXY on the one side and Euro USD on the other side, and they are crushing it. So let's have a look. Well, from the weekly time frame, what we can see this week it's a bearish week, so we pushed strongly to the downside. We found some rejection, we found some support from the downside right here, because you see we have a little wick, but I think the wick is less than 50% of the body, so it's not that major. We had a bearish week, but as from the weekly time frame, price is not in a nice place to buy or sell as it was when it was right here at this lower high. So I'm immediately going to drop to the daily time frame. And what we can see right here is that the price didn't make too much sense on the daily time frame, because if I go back 5 days, you can see that on 6th of July we had this massive move, then we had a pullback, then we have this massive move, pullback, and then Friday ended up consolidating. So from the daily time frame, what I always do is I try to see where potentially price might find some support and might find it difficult to break. This is my daily time frame. So I have this daily zone and I have this daily resistance. That price is too far away right now, so I am not interested in it. And when we go back to the go down to the 4-hourly time frame, it all makes sense right now, right? So we're stuck in this consolidation box, and when the market opened 6th of July, we had a nice push to the downside. Then we had a pullback, and the market created a beautiful double top right here. Perfect short opportunity. Euro USD provided us with a nice long as well. Nice push to the downside for a lower low. And this was actually, I believe, Thursday. We had a news release. I think it was initial jobless claims from the US. But you can see when the market was down there, this was a lower low. So a pullback was expected. Like not that huge, because the market just skyrocketed from here. It just created this inverse head and shoulders that we spotted from the daily analysis, and then it just exploded up massively. And this was caused by the news release. But again, what the market did on Friday, it tapped into the supply area right here, found resistance and a nice push to the downside. And right now we are stuck just right here. So make sure to keep your daily zones, which is down there and up here, but the upper zone doesn't make sense right now, because what I will do is I will just zoom in, because I always do this. So what I was expecting actually was this inverse head and shoulders to develop and potentially for us to have a little bit of a bullish dollar. But right now, as the market is sitting like this, and if you just take this area right here and this one, you see that the price is in the middle, right? So the EMA is kind of flat, so we are not trending right now strongly. So what I need to see right now, guys, is how Monday is gonna open and where the dollar might take us. I don't have a clear bias, because I can say we are perfectly sell. But when the market came very close to this lower high to create almost an equal lower high, I know that the buyers are taking control. Then we had this massive push to the downside, but what I need to see are 2 scenarios. So first is for the market to potentially create a lower high somewhere around here to form some rejections and to push to the downside to break this low, which will mean sell bias to me. And if I start to see the rejections right here, I can potentially look for sells, right? And the second one is just to have a break in the retest of this structure, which will turn support, and then we can explode to the upside. So this is how I look at the dollar. Right now we're sitting in the middle, so I just want to see Monday how it's gonna open and what bias it will be, because we have this potential inverse head and shoulders to push to the upside. But right here the market might form a lower high in order to continue down, because we're overall trending down. So let's see on Monday. Make sure to adapt, make sure to know your scenarios, and when something happens, let's just strike. Euro USD weekly time frame, we can see that we are still sitting in this supply area that we speak about for quite some volumes already. You can see the market tried to push up but rejected from that area, closing as a pin bar or something like this, which would mean that we want to see this market go down potentially. However, this is just from the weekly time frame. We know that we're sitting in this supply area and we have a wick to the top. When I go to the daily time frame, the price doesn't make too much sense because it's like the DXY, like you see a push up, pull back, again, and then the market is actually consolidating. What I can see from the daily time frame is this structural level though, because we're overall trending up right here as we're trending down on the DXY. We still have this massive push and this kind of corrective phase, but if you just have a look on the daily time frame, the market is stuck in this consolidation. So just have a look at this and know on the back of your head that we're consolidating and that we don't have a real trend. But when we go to the forward time frame, it actually makes sense. So where is it? 6th of July, nice push to the upside, retest of that daily area that I just spoke about. There was a long opportunity just right here. If I go to the hourly time frame, yeah, I didn't take this because it was looking too messy. Like you see, push down, push up, push down, big wick, attempting to breaking above structure, potentially to look for longs. Massive bearish pressure, again, wick, push back. It was just a mess. And then this actually happened on Thursday, I believe, when the market exploded to the upside. And there was the trade that I looked at, guys. This is it. We had a nice push down. The market was creating a higher high. We had this manipulation above. You see a strong bullish candle to break the highs after one candle of pullback. A little tip from me, because we've been having this for quite some time. When the market just provides you with a one candle of pullback, not enough liquidity is grabbed, so you cannot expect the market just to massively push to the upside, because there weren't too many people that got in, because people like me are usually waiting for a bigger pullback. But when the pullback happens with just one candle, you will have a push to the upside, but then the market will reverse immediately. And this is what we had: a strong bullish candle, a massive bearish engulf, just to slap the bulls that tried to push the market up. And then we had this beautiful head and shoulders, nice push up, indecision right here, bearish engulf, and the entry is just right here after a beautiful break of structure on the 15-minute. Here is it. And my entry was looking like this, which I didn't take because I had orders on Euro Swiss franc, which I'm going to show you. And you can see this one resulted in a massive downside. So this is a trade for this week that I missed, unfortunately, but I'm totally fine with it because I know for the long term I will be catching those trades. Again, let's focus. So what do we have on the 4-hourly time frame? What I can see is that the market is finding some strong support around this area, and we have a pretty nice area to look at, which is just right here for a potential head and shoulders. Right now we have a strong push to the downside, and right now we have a pullback with a huge wick. So I think this wick will get filled, like a little push to the upside, but what I need to see is if the market is gonna slow down around this area to form a lower high and to potentially come back to test again this 61.8 to form a head and shoulders for us to head down. This means that the DXY will push down. Remember, they're oppositely correlated. So I'm very interested to see what will happen on Monday. So let's wait. This is my setup. I want to see a push up, lower high formation, the market fail to break above, and then potentially I want to see the price go down. Euro JPY weekly time frame, we're gonna see some more sellers right here because the JPY was very strong this week. So what we have from a weekly time frame, we have actually a nice impulse to the upside. We have a little correction right here, the market trying to find support, try to push, but you can see how it's starting to fail, and it's actually creating a little bit of a weekly level just right here. So when I drop to the daily time frame, you can see how the market is failing to break above that area. If I just try to catch as many wicks as possible to keep this daily area. And as you can see, we had a little bit of a climb to the upside, push, pullback, push, pullback. This was actually a beautiful long opportunity that we could have taken as a swing trade and potentially to target the upside. However, when the market tried to create that high, we had 1, 2, 3, 4 days of market rejecting to the upside, and then we had a nice push to the downside, and actually right now we're continuing. But have a look at the last daily candle. This is a wick to the downside into the supportive level. So it's a little bit tricky right now, but when I go to the 4-hourly time frame, it will make sense. So the price action this week was overall this one. Very hard to trade because we had that push to the upside on Monday, you see 6th of July, and then we just consolidate, then we push up, and then on Friday we actually had this massive breakdown to the downside, breaking previous structure, which is very important for me. Right, we have this failure to break, we have this manipulation, again potential trade right here, similar to EU. If I drop to the hourly time frame, here it is. But I think we didn't have a trade on that one. This is one I was looking at, but when the market broke, it never come to retest this broken trend line. So it is fine. We had some people in the group that caught it just with the momentum to the downside, which I was pretty happy about. So from 4-hourly time frame, guys, what we have is a nice push to the downside. What I need to see is just a pullback, or I need to see how the market will start creating a level. What I mean by start creating a level, well, I need to see the market failing to break above a certain area. Levels are being created or they're being tested from the past. So we can potentially come back to test this area, or if the market will start to form some sort of resistance right here, we are gonna see it because the hourly time frame will start to slow down, the 4-hourly time frame will start to form wicks, and then potentially we can take a short. This is what makes me think that EU will go down, because on EJ we had a massive break of this trend line. We can come back for a test of this level. We have a strong introduction of selling pressure. So if we have a pullback and if the JPY strength continues, then we can potentially have a short on this one. So what I need to see is just this level to form for me to see the hourly break and for me to see my 15-minute favorite setups to develop. So let's wait. Short bias on Euro JPY. Let's see what Monday has for us. Euro Swiss franc weekly time frame, it's a pair that I have been trading for some time. So and I had a trade on this one this week that didn't trigger for just 1 or 2 pips. So from weekly time frame, we have a massive push up, then we have a massive push down, starting to slow down around this area. So it kind of looks like long bias from a weekly time frame, but just have a look at the daily. Like, in order for this price to reverse, we will need a break above the daily structure, right? Because we are perfectly trending to the downside, and I knew this, so I wanted to take a short. As you can see, we have a push to the downside, a pullback for a lower high, then we have a bearish candle to introduce the selling pressure, and I believe this is where I was looking for the trade. Yeah, exactly right here. Very similar to EU. With this inverse head and shoulders, we have a push to the downside, and what I loved about this one is that it broke structure right here. This is what I want to see. We have a trend line up, break, retest, perfection right here. So my entry was just this one. You see, I'm very conservative. I always want to see break and retest. So I had this zone, guys, and I had an order just right here. Stop loss was very nice. I think it was 6 pips. And just kind of look how this week came very close to this area, and then the market just created a nice push to the downside to hit my 3R in just a matter of I think it's an hour or something. So this is my trade that I didn't get caught by just a few wicks, so I hope you will extract something from this one. It's a very simple 4H lower high. It's a very simple 1H, just following the structure, nice bearish introduction, break of structure, retest of the EMA, formation of a new lower high, and then on the 15-minute, it's just about getting that entry. It depends on you if you wait for that bullish structure to get broken first, this one, and then look for the retest, which I did. Sometimes you will not get triggered, sometimes you will get triggered and it will be a massive trade. So it's just about repeating the same things over and over again. So this is ECHF. Let's see what do we have for the Aussies. Aussie USD weekly time frame. So again, guys, very tricky pairs to trade the Aussies. What do we have from the weekly time frame? Price still sitting at this area right here, this weekly area, and actually right now we have a beautiful pin bar right now, and what all of the people would expect is a bearish candle to form an evening star formation. But do we know if this will happen? Never. So daily time frame, again, as you can see, the market open just right here, bullish bearish, and just sitting around this area making no sense at all, right? And when I drop to my main time frame, the 4-hourly time frame, we just have this. Like, we have a push down, push up, push down again. Looked like EU, but a little bit messier, right? And if I just draw my rectangle, you will see what is happening here, guys. Try to keep it simple. If you don't see anything, if you just don't know what is happening with the pair, just leave it alone. So my analysis for this one is pretty simple. Like when I see consolidation, I usually go to the hourly time frame, because you will see right here from the top how the market starts to fail to break. And when we break strongly to the downside, we wait for some sort of a retest, some sort of a pullback, potentially a trade right here to take to the downside. But when we go down, we hit the support, then we go back up. So really not high probability trades, right? So we are stuck in this consolidation. What I need to see is very simple, guys. Just a strong break below, retest, or strongly break above and retest. I am more sell biased than this one because we expect sells on EU and bullishness on the DXY. So I really hope this, after trending to the upside for quite some time and staying on this resistance area for some time, that this is going to turn down. But first, I need to see how this area starts to respect this lower high formation, potentially pull back into it to find some resistance. And if we start pushing down with nice impulsive moves, then I will be looking for the pullbacks. For example, nice impulsive move, pullback, lower high formation, and then we can take the trades down. So let's see Aussie USD overall sell bias. Let's see if it plays out. Make sure to be patient on Monday to see the introduction, and then on Tuesday, Wednesday, we can strike. Aussie JPY weekly time frame, this looks a little bit better because of the strength of the JPY. So what we have is a strong push, a pullback. Right now the market is failing to break above, creating this little weekly area right here. And if I go to the daily time frame, you can see how this is creating a little bit of a triangle or something. Well, not really, but what I will do is I will just take this one, and what you can see, okay, 75 key area. So you have all the confluences actually for the market to fail to break above, which is very good to see. And if I go to my main time frame, which is the 4-hourly time frame, we see a nice uptrend to the upside. Well, not nice, because just have a look at this price action right here. I'm afraid I cannot take a trade in this one because it's so messy, and this week was actually pretty messy. So we opened right here, pushed to the upside, down, up, down, up, down. And actually, yeah, on Friday, we had this nice sell-off from the top right here, which was very good to see. And similar to EJ right now, guys, we have this strong push to the downside. The market is already creating a level. What I mean by creating a level, well, have a look. We have 3 wicks right here failing to break above. And on the hourly time frame, we have 1 tap, 2 taps, 3 taps. So potentially this is creating a level, but I need to see what will happen on Monday, because potentially this might break to the upside and come to grab more liquidity from this area. And again, I will be looking for the same, a failure to break above. Hourly time frame, remember, when we are looking for sales on the 4-hourly, we want to see an hourly uptrend. So potentially this can push a little bit higher, then we can draw our trend line, we can wait for a break, retest, and then on our setups on the 15 minutes. Very simple, guys. You just have to know what you're looking at. So let's have a look Monday. Let's see if it pushes up or if it starts to fall to the downside. If it falls before we take a trade, don't worry, guys, we will have another pullback, lower high formation, and then we can look for further shorts. So AJ, sell bias, let's see. NZD/USD weekly time frame. So I'm not gonna spend too much time on the NZDs because they're pretty messy. So what we have from a weekly time frame, we have just a little candle. Like, it's bullish, it has a wick on top, but really doesn't indicate anything. I will just drop a line right here from this wick because it may be a strong resistance level. We have 66 like ish, which actually tapped to the pip, 66 with this wick. But as you can see, 5 days we opened strongly bullish, indecision, bullish, indecision, indecision. So really nothing to look at. From daily time frame, it seems like we broke above this area, but this right now, guys, is just over analyzing, because if I go to the hourly, 4-hourly, time frame, I just see no clear structure at all. We just have this push to the upside with no pullbacks at all, just messy price action. It was climbing up, but when I have no pullbacks, then I just don't enter. I don't care if I miss a few thousand pips. I don't care. I need just my setups. So what we have right here is 6th of July push up, massive push down, push up again, looked like a lower high. Then we tried to push down, we failed to break below this area. Then we pushed up, we again shift to buy bias market. Oop, not the FIP. We shift to taking buys from here, tried to take buys. The market pushed with 1 candle, started to consolidate, strong break below. We look for sales right here. The market continues to push up. So absolutely ridiculous. What I have in this one, I would draw this level and I would draw this one. When you kind of not see what is happening, just try to find your major zones. Those are my major zones, and what I want to see, guys, is pretty simple: a strong break above and a retest, or a strong break below and a retest, and then potentially continuations from the both sides. So this is what I want to see, just a 4-hourly shift, because so far we are bullish, but there is really not an opportunity to take buys. So what I need to see is a clear introduction of pressure, of buy or sell pressure, and then I will be striking the market. And again, NZD-JPY looks a little bit better than NU. So what do we have right here is just a very little candle right here comparing to the others, like to this volatility. We're just doing nothing this week. Dropping to the daily time frame, really nothing to see. We just have this strong push to the upside, and actually we can say basically that we are still buy bias on this market because we have a strong push. This is a higher high, so we potentially expect a higher low in order to continue up. Right, so just keep in the back this on the back of your mind. But what do we have from a 4-hourly perspective is actually a beautiful short aligning, because have a look for how many times the market failed to break above this area. We had this trend line and we finally broke below. We threw just a little retest right here with one candle again, and a nice sell off to the downside. And what do we have right now is the market trying to create some sort of a level. And as you can see from the left, we have the structure right now. And if I take this area, we already tapped the EMA. So I think on NZD-JPY, we might have an immediate sell-off in the beginning of the week. Checking the hourly time frame, we have a beautiful uptrend. Actually, everything is just aligning. And if I drop to the 15-minute time frame, we already have a break of structure. So potentially there could be a trade just right here. But I would really not advise you to trade this on market open, because what might happen on market open, the price might open up here. So let's be patient. There is a beautiful short opportunity upcoming on this one potentially, but let's just be patient. As I said, keep repeating myself. Don't try to jump in on market open just because I told you so, because I'm not gonna do it. I will just wait for it to open. I will wait for Monday London session and potentially try to see what New York has for me. If price has already pushed, if price has already provided me with the short opportunity, I will just not care, because there will be another one during the week. So NJ, beautiful short bias market right here, already tapped the EMA, retesting structure, 2 4-hourly candles of rejection. The hourly time frame is already shifting, so let's see if we have a short opportunity on this one. USD-JPY weekly time frame. So although we had bearishness on this one, it was pretty hard to get a trade for me personally. So what do we have from a weekly time frame? We had a nice pin bar the previous week, and right now we have a bearish candle, which is an engulfing candle of the previous week, which contains some information that potentially we might go down. So from a daily time frame, we had a strong push to the downside, lower high formation. We tried to create a lower low, but it was just very little. We pulled back to grab more liquidity. Then we started to consolidate right here, and just 3 days, like this is Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we pushed to the downside. But dropping to the 4-hourly time frame, guys, the market opened around here. Yeah, exactly right here. So we have a push up, then we have a strong push down, we have a break of structure, and we say, okay, we want to look for shorts. What the market does then is a strong impulsive move to the upside, and you're like, well, what should I be doing? Should I be looking for longs? Well, then the market formed this strong resistance area, failed to break, pushed down, but it was looking like a higher low. Actually, if we went to the hourly time frame, there was long opportunity just right here. If I go to the 15 minutes, yeah, it was a little bit messy. But on the only break of structure just right here, I was looking for longs, but it was very messy, so I just didn't take this one, and I'm happy I didn't, because it's, you see it pushed up. Oh, sorry, this was Asian session. Actually, I was looking at before bet, but you see it pushed up and then dropped down. So this was one opportunity on UJ that I spotted, and dropping down to the 4-hourly time frame. Come on, where is price? Here it is. What do we have is this push to the upside that we tried to take a trade from, then the market pushed down, rejected, again consolidation, and then we broke to the downside. But what happened when we broke to the downside is another consolidation. And when you go to the hourly time frame, it's just pretty hard to take a trade right here, guys. So you have a push up, pullback, potential short, tried to push down, failed, tried to push up, fail, nice impulsive move to the upside, tried to push down again, fail, pull back, and this is when the market flushed to the downside, which I think it was Friday. Nice sell-off, and this is what we have for the week, guys. So this was the only trade that I spotted, but overall pretty hard structure to trade. But what do we have right now is a nice impulsive move to the downside, a nice Fibonacci level to look at. Potentially the leg starts from, let's say, from right here. Fibonacci 38.2 was tap. I would expect a little bit more of a push to the upside, potentially to tap the EMA to form that lower high, and we can look for sales. We are sell bias on all the JPY pairs. Keep that in mind. So USD-JPY is like the dollar index for the USDs. It kind of dictates the JPY strength and weakness. So if this one starts to find a resistance right here to push to the downside, then I think we're gonna have some fire opportunities on the JPYs. So let's just see what happens. It's already starting to form a little bit of a resistance level, but I kind of get the feeling that it's gonna provide us with another push to the upside. So let's just be patient, short bias on USD/JPY. Let's see what happens. USD CAD weekly time frame. Let's see what do we have here. So from the weekly time frame, we just have a little indecision candle which closed bullish, but it's a doji, so nothing actually to tell us from the weekly what might happen. Daily time frame, the market opened just right here with a bearish candle. Then we strongly pushed up, then we strongly pushed down, broke structure, but we tapped into a very strong daily resistance. I know some people took that trade. Then we had a nice impulsive move to the upside, but what we can see the last day did is it actually failed to break above this little structure. So if you just have a look again, guys, if you want to be perfectly clear, we have a consolidation on UCAD, so make sure to keep that in the back of your head. So but this is not the way I trade. It's true that we have a very strong demand supply area, whatever you like to call it, resistance, support, and then the market tapped right here as support, and then we push strongly to the upside. But this is just not the way I trade, and I always stick true to myself. We had a strong push to the downside, so I followed the momentum. I was looking for a pullback, lower high formation to potentially take a short, but then we had a massive push to the upside to tap into, again, this area that I just deleted. And right now what the market does is it just stays right here, right? So nothing clear for now. If I drop to the hourly time frame, it doesn't make too much sense. So two scenarios that might happen on this one, guys. We expected the same after this bearish push, so we can expect the same after this bullish push. We can drop our Fibonacci level right here, and we can wait for the market to pull back. We have a potential head and shoulder situation, but if the market pulls back to the head and shoulders, to the left shoulder, it's gonna be 78.6. So when the market gets close to the 78.6, like this is the last resort for a pullback, and the sellers are far too much, so you have to wait a little bit more to wait for that structural shift on the hourly time frame for a perfect entry. So what I will be looking at is just to see how Monday is gonna open, because as we saw from the daily time frame, we are consolidating and just seeing how the price behaves. Massive push down, massive push up. I just don't like this. I like clear, steady trends to take the continuations. I don't like reversals like this, so I'm just gonna let this one go. I just want to see how it will react. Potentially a pullback and a continuation to the upside. If we break above this area, then we're gonna be introducing some bullish pressure and a bullish trend. So let's see what happens. Nothing clear for now, just this kind of consolidation and bullish bearish moves. So yeah, let's see what Monday has for us. USD Swiss franc weekly time frame. Let's see what do we have here. So from the weekly candle, we just have a bearish candle with a wick to the bottom, which doesn't contain any significant information. So yeah, nothing to say right here. We immediately go to the daily when the weekly is like this. Remember, I just checked the bigger time frames to see if the market is staying at some very strong supportive or some very strong resistance area, to know that it might potentially face some difficulties. And as you can see with this wick, which is not some sort of a key area, but we can see how the market is reacting to that wick right here and failing to break above. So this is what I talk about, and potentially I would usually mark this daily area, but price is too far away from it right now, so I'm not gonna pay attention to it. So on USD Swiss franc, we had a short opportunity. The market opened just right here. We had a push down, we have a push up, potential lower high. Then we create this massive push to the upside, potential pullback. Again, confusion. You don't know what is happening, but what I spotted is this right here as a potential lower high. When we drop to the hourly time frame, what do we have again? And what I liked about this one is this push to the downside, which actually broke structure on the left. Not a significant break, but what matters to me is that it broke below the 78, and it just created a double bottom or something like this, which is an equal high or low. But when I know this happens, then I always expect a lower high. So the trade that I was looking at was just right here at those wicks. But I really regret not taking it. And why I didn't take it is because of the 15 minutes. So I was looking for a retest immediately after this push, but then the market continued down and created a strong wick to the downside. And then it started to pull back in a very bullish fashion. So I said to myself, well, let's just leave this and focus on another pair. It tapped, pushed down, tapped again, tried to push down, tapped again. So potentially break even, because by the time the market was down there, I would go break even, because there is again this supportive level which convinced me not to take the trade. And then the market pushed for a final push in this area just before New York Open, or yeah, around New York Open. And then we had this massive limiting to the downside. So this was another trade that I was looking at. make sure to go into your charts and see how you could have entered that trade. It's again very simple, break of structure, waiting for that bullish move, break, retest, and it's just about getting that entry and having the confluences on your side. So having a look at what might happen this week. So what do we have right here is a strong push to the upside. And have a look at this area right here. This is what I was looking at for a potential head and shoulders inverse. Push, push, left shoulder, head, right shoulder. Nice wick to the bottom. What I expect though is usually such wicks will get filled like this. So I expect a little push to the downside again, and then we will see what is gonna happen actually, because after such wicks, most of the people can go long, but this wick will get filled and you will suffer a big drawdown and potentially a stop loss. So what I will do is I will just wait for the market to push to the downside and then potentially to provide me with the bullishness. So this should align with Euro USD as well, right? If this fills that wick and provides me with a lower high, this should fill the wick as well and provide me with a higher low, and for then both of the pairs to start pushing in the desired direction. So let's see what happens. It's too early so far for an entry. I want to see a push to the downside, some supportive levels to form right here, and then a potential impulse to the upside to finally break bearish structure, and then we can say, all right, we are turning we're turning into a bullish trend, so we can start looking for buys. We already have it. If you have a look at this trend line, we already broke the structure and retested, but I still feel that this is not ready, so let's be patient. Long buys on USD Swiss, let's see. All right, time to have a nice look at the GBP, starting with GU, the trade that I lost this week. So what do we have from a weekly time frame? We have a strong push to the upside, and we have a pullback that can potentially create a higher low. We had a reaction and I expected a continuation this week, which actually happened. So we had a week of bullishness. Dropping down to the daily time frame, what do we have? The market opened just right here, 6th of July. We had a push up, push up, push up, and then the last 2 days are actually consolidation. But what is very important for me is that we broke above this structure. So as you can see, we had a push, a pullback, and a push for a lower low. Then the market tried to create an equal lower high, tried to push down, failed, and we actually broke above. Meaning that I am buy bias on this market, right? Dropping down to the lower time frame. So let me see where I took my trade. It was exactly right here. So let me just walk you through it. So what I saw right here, it was actually before this manipulation, right? So we had a push up. So as we know, currently the market doesn't pull back a lot. So I said, okay, we have a push down. The market is finding support. We had a push up. So by the time price was up there, I said to myself, well, I want to see the market pull back into this area. And this is where I took my trade. Before this one happened, right? So we had a strong push to the upside, we have a pullback, we have the supportive area, and we have the EMA acting as support. Well, I was analyzing the market, it was up here, 7 o'clock, so I said, well, this is too high to trade, so what I want to see is the market to push me into the major zone, and price did exactly this one, so I am obliged to follow my plan. Then I dropped to the 15-minute time frame, and what I saw right here and why I didn't want to take this trade is just look at the 15-minute structure. It's not clear. It's not the usual uptrends and downtrends that I look at, but I just said, okay, I have to follow my plan. So I waited for this massive push to happen, to break structure, and I entered just right here on the retest. Stop loss was below right here. Take profit doesn't matter because it didn't hit. I got triggered on this one. I got triggered, price tried to push up, failed. So I said, okay, we're fine. And then in the next candle, market tried to push up again, failed. And I told myself, all right, I think we're not ready. And we're actually resisting at that area, but I just let the trade run because it didn't make sense to close it. And as you can see, we hit take profit. And what actually happened is the market created this manipulation to the downside, and then it actually went strongly to the upside to hit take profit, right? So we had this manipulation down, push up, higher low formation right here. So this could have been a potential trade, but when I had my loss, I was already like out of the market, so it didn't matter what happened next. Then what did we have is a beautiful formation again, nice push to the upside, pull back to a Fibonacci level right here, 61.8% perfection, retest of previous structure just right here. So if I go to the hourly time frame, what do we have? Is a nice downtrend. We have the wicks already starting to print out. We have a nice push to the upside. And if I go to the 15-minute time frame, it was a little bit tricky to be honest. Why? Because right here we didn't have a clear setup to trade. And when the market imposed, so this is your trade right here. And it depends on you if you want to take a trade like this when the market is approaching it with a strong bearish pressure. But when you know that from a hourly perspective, you're sitting at a higher low, from an hourly perspective, you have the impulse. So the 15-minute is just about getting that entry, right? So you could have potentially positioned like this and went for a take profit or for whatever you desire. We had a perfection 3R. So this could have been a nice trade to end the week, right? So this is GU in a nutshell. Two long opportunities for me personally. The one I got stopped out, the one I didn't take because it was Friday and I already had my loss. So I said, well, I don't want to enlarge my losses, because what I usually tell my community guys, a little tip from you, when you have a losing week and it's Friday, just don't try to bring that loss. Don't try to come with a win in order to cover your loss, because it might be another loss and you might just enlarge your losses. Doesn't make sense. And if you have a winning week, don't try to make it big, because you will have a loss then and you will be like, wow, I shouldn't have traded, man. I was very comfortably sitting at my 3% or 5%. Why should I take another trade and lose 2%, right? So another tip from me, this is what I usually do. When I have a losing week and it's Friday, I said to myself, well, I don't want to get into another trade. And if I have a winning week, I'm grateful for it. So I just take Friday off. So GU back at focus. We have this higher low formation right here. The market tried to push up but failed. And as you can see how it tapped into this resistance area. So right now the market is sitting in the middle between those two areas. What I need to see is, as you know guys, something to happen. Either a break and a retest to the upside, the market to create a level right here to fail to break, potentially to push into the major area right here and to give me a short opportunity into the support. So too many scenarios guys, because we might have a push right here to find resistance and to push down, find support and push up. So what I need to see is just how Monday is gonna open. Make sure to have those major areas drawn on your chart, and then when Monday opens, we're gonna see if the market is actually gonna break below, break above. Let's see what the bias is, and then we're gonna strike. So make sure to stay tuned on Telegram for the Tuesday analysis. Dropping down to GJ, weekly time frame, again we have this higher low formation, we have a little push to the upside. Daily time frame, what do we have? Is a nice break of structure right here, a nice retest, continuation to the upside, and right now from a daily time frame we have a break and a retest of the previous structure, just tapping the daily EMA, which is a major sign. However, when we go to the hourly time frame, and as I told you that the JPY is very strong, we have this massive introduction of selling pressure breaking below previous structure. So as my strategy says, when I have a break of structure and when I have a bearish introduction, I'm obliged to look for sales, and this is what I will do guys. So it will not make sense potentially to you that I'm looking for longs on GU. Actually, I'm not looking for longs. Because if I go back, we're sitting in this consolidation, so potentially we might have a push to the downside, because you can see this already broke. So what I want to see is how the market is going to form this level right here and potentially push me to the downside. And if we have a break of this area, I will say to myself, okay, we are in a perfect sell bias market, so I'm going to look for sales. As for now, I just want to see how it's going to react on Monday. We are already forming this hourly resistance area, and on the 15-minute we are already breaking. But it's too early. This is market close, so on market open we might have a strong push to the upside. Who knows? We have a potential head and shoulders formation right here. And if I draw my Fibonacci from swing high to swing low, we have a beautiful zone. Have a look how it perfectly aligns this zone on the left with the 61.8 and the 50% Fibonacci pocket. So let's see what happens. Sell bias on this one. I am just waiting for an opportunity patiently on Monday and potentially strike on Tuesday or Monday in New York. GBP AUD, I don't trade this pair to be honest. So what do we have right here is a strong push to the upside, little pullback again, and just continues to push to the upside, breaking structure and providing us with just one candle of pullback. I don't like this. So potentially in order to trade GA, you have to go to the hourly time frame. Why? Because right here we have this consolidation, we have a strong push up and we have a pullback, beautiful pin bar. And if you go to the 15-minute time frame to pinpoint your entry, it's actually a little bit hard, because have a look. Just look at the chart and just spot how many wicks this pair is creating, right? So for my strategy, for the way I trade, this is not the perfect pair to be trading, so I am usually avoiding it. But what I expect on this one, well, it's perfectly trending to the upside, right? I have the most recent break and retest of structure, which is just right here. So right now the market is pushing up, it is pulling back. So potentially I will be long biased. But what I need to see is either the hourly time frame to start to reject or the 4 hourly to start forming some rejection wicks. Right now there is no opportunity, so I will just let Monday play out and see what is up on Tuesday, and I will make sure to inform you guys. And Euro GBP, there was a beautiful short setup on this one. I'm not sure if I mentioned it. Yeah, I couldn't have mentioned it because the market pushed strongly to the upside. Potentially we look for longs. However, then we have a nice sell-off down here, breaking below structure, which is just right here. What the market does later is pulls back exactly into this area. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 hourly candle to indicate that the market is rejecting. And if we go to the hourly time frame, a little bit tricky to get a trade because you see the market pushes, pulls away, and after the market pulls away, it will most of the times it will come back to test that area. And then guys, it all depends on you how you want to enter this market. Personally, I didn't see a trade on this one, and this is why I didn't take it. But what you have later is the market push down, the market create an uptrend, which we always want to see, the market breaking previous structure and retesting. So this is a trade that I looked at, but I was already looking at too many trades, so I didn't take this one. And as I told you, I was a little bit unlucky this week to look at the wrong pairs, not the wrong pairs, but just the pairs that didn't develop. So yeah, this is a beautiful trade on Euro GBP, nice flush to the downside, and ended up the week consolidating. So again, what do I expect from quality perspective? Well, I have my major lower high, which is just right here. We have a broken lower low, which is just right here. The market is sitting at the bottom, creating support. What I need to see is for it to pull back to create a lower high. I think we don't have a, yeah, we have a fib, but just have a look at this pullback. One candle pullback with indecision and then starting to slow down. So I need to see a clear push to the upside into this resistance area, and then potentially we can look to take it to the downside. So let's see. Euro GBP short bias. I am just waiting for that setup to occur. All right, let's have a quick look on gold because we're already too advanced with time. Let me know, guys, if I'm keeping those videos a little bit too long. Do you want me to just analyze the market and just show you the setups, or you want me to go through them like this live and analyze it for you just to see my thought process? A little feedback from you will be much appreciated. So gold, bullish week, surpassing 1800s has been the major thing. Daily time frame, we have a push pullback and a push 3 days in the beginning of bullish push, and then we have a little pullback. So potential 2 opportunities for longs. The first one was right here. The second one, I believe it was right here. And then we had a short opportunity just right here, trying to keep it short and simple. So as for right here, it was a little bit tricky because it was a nice sell introduction right here. But this was just manipulation, and as you can see, the market exploded right after. Then potentially you could have gotten a trade right here. If you go to the 15-minute, you will always see that shift of structure right here as well, which was without a retest. And what was actually a very nice setup was this one from the 4-hourly time frame. I called this short. Strong push to the downside after forming the resistance and forming a double top. Push to the downside, retest. 4-hourly candle of rejection, hourly time frame starting to slow down. Nice bearish introduction right here with this candle, and then on the 15-minute we had the retest, which is just right here, providing us with a beautiful short opportunity. If you took it like this, then you could have ended the week with a nice 2.6 R&R. So this was gold for this week. Very shortly, what I expect right now, well, the pressure is very much to the upside. So I will just mark this area and see how the market is starting to break below, and this lower high to see if the market will stay below. So what I need to see again, guys, when I don't know what is happening, I mark my major areas. Potentially a break and a retest of this will mean short. Potentially right here we could have an equal lower high. I really will need to see the rejections in order to go short, because there is a high chance that the market will push and continue to the upside. Depends on the DXY, because if the DXY reverses to the upside, then we might have bearishness on gold. So let's see what happens on gold. So far, not a clear bias. Let's see what Monday and Tuesday will have for us. And finally, a very quick look on the indices. We had one trade on US30. So as you can see, the week ended up bullish. From a daily time frame, it's not really clear what happened. We started with a bullishness, then we pushed down, then we pushed back up, pushed down, where was the opportunity, and we actually ended up bullish. So going to the 4-hourly time frame just to show you where the opportunity was. So what we spotted right here is this supply area, because the market broke, retested, pushed down to form a lower low, and we came back right here, and we have plenty of signs that the market is failing to break above. Going to the hourly time frame, if you always wait for the bearish introduction, here it is with this candle, and actually there was a very quick retest on the 15-minute just right here. And as you can see, when the market broke, this is where the candle closed. On the next candle, you had this wick. So if you potentially entered on a retest right here, maybe stop loss, something like this, you could have nailed a massive and a very quick trade to the downside for a 3.4 R&R or something like this. And then the market decided to reverse, closing bullish with a nice push to the upside. So what I expect right now, as we are creating an equal lower high, I would expect the market to pull back for an inverse head and shoulders, something like this, a Fibonacci level as well for further confluence, something like this. And potentially, let's see if the indices are going to head up. Nasdaq, no opportunities on this one because it's just trending to the upside. You should use the hourly time frame for this one, but it's a little bit tricky, and I'm happy that actually the companies that are advancing, and we are having bullishness on this one. So nothing to say except from that the fact that the market is breaking above, creating all-time highs constantly. So all we have to do is drop to the hourly time frame, potentially trade those breakouts, or wait for a retest right now and potentially continue to the upside. So this is for this week, guys. I really hope you appreciated the analysis and found something helpful. Let me know down in the comments if you liked it. Let me know if I should keep the videos like this or should I shorten them. Please, this will mean a lot to me. Make sure to hit the like button to support the channel, and I cannot wait to see you on my next video. Have a crushing week, guys.